Good night, viewers, and welcome to this another program, Advancing the Cause. This program comes to you every Wednesday night from 18:30 hours to 20 hours. The official host of this program is the Honorable Coretta McDOnald, AA, MP, and General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union, who is tonight unavoidably absent. And for her absence, I want to tender a formal excuse. My name is Dennis Jaikran, and I'm going to be the host for this program tonight. Our topic tonight would be Guyana at the crossroads. Guyana at the crossroads. And in this program tonight, we will focus on a number of areas. And so before I get to the areas in which we are going to focus on this program, I want to advise the public, the viewing public, that whatever we say on this program, it is as a result of our communication with persons across every region of this country and countries that have access to this program, persons in those countries. And when we receive these information, and because the information would come from credible sources, we have to be able to protect in all ways and in all forms the identity of these persons because of the level of discrimination that is taking place when people are of the opinion or they suspect that information is flowing to this program, and that should not be. But people are becoming wiser and wiser every single day in this country, recognizing that we are, or we would have arrived at a dictatorship as it relates to a government. And so we have every duty, and we will always do to protect our source of information, our credible source, so to speak. And so we are going to be able to touch tonight on a number of areas that would have been fed to us over the past days. So we are going to they ask us to deal with aspects of the cash grant and the school grant. Then we are going to continue for this another week on this subject, failure of paid, I want to repeat that, failure of paid state employees of enforcement agencies to perform legal and constitutional duties. Let me repeat this subtopic that we are going to deal with in a very brief way. Failure of paid state employees of enforcement agencies, and I'm going to name the agencies boldly, so to speak, to perform legal duties, legal and constitutional duties. And I list these for because of this exercise. But when we get into the meat of the discussion, I'm going to identify each of these agencies as listed and be able to point out their tremendous and continuous failure in certain areas. And so these agencies are the Guyana Revenue Authority, the National Insurance Scheme, the Ministry of Labor, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Guyana Power and Light. Then we are going to deal with some matters, educational issues. We are going to deal with some health issues. And then we are going to deal with some regional issues. And then we are going to deal with some special educational issues. Because things are happening, and they are happening for the wrong reasons in education. And therefore, we have to bring these things to the attention of our viewers to show that there is a serious troubling education system in Guyana. And so let us speak very quickly on the cash grants. Previously, there was this payment of cash grants. And only as alleged favored persons receive these cash grants. And homes and families that were paid were specially identified and selected because of their close association with the PPP. Friends, family, and favorites of the PPP. And so it is alleged that in some homes that the grandparents receive, the parents receive, the children receive, the grandchildren receive, and in some cases, even the pets that were around, the parrots, the dogs, the cats, they were given names, and it is alleged they also receive cash grants because they had a name at that time. And these are all things that were brought to our attention, allegations, so to speak. And we have every duty to ensure that we bring it to the attention of our viewers. This is a very discriminatory way in the distribution of this particular cash grant. For this new cash grant, as announced, one-time $200,000 per household. Then when they were told, and they very well believed what would have been told to them, they changed it to $100,000 for persons 18 years and over, not realizing and not justifying whether they are Guyanese residents or not. And once a resident is only considered being a resident of this country when they are here for 100 and something days in the year. I don't recall the number. But that is not the point in discussion tonight. The point in discussion, and as alleged, that there are groups of persons already visiting specified and specific communities to collect names of favored persons to be paid this $100,000. But we on this program always say, and we will continue to say, that every single cent that the PPP spends in this country, it is not their money. It is not, and I made that clear, it is not the government of Guyana money. It is the state money, money belonging to the state. And the state is different from government. And it is money belonging to the taxpayers of this country. But all on sundries in the PPP, they go about the place wanting people to believe their propaganda that this sum of money or any sum of money that is being paid at any time is the PPP money. Let us tonight blanket that completely and remove it from the minds of persons and let them understand whatever sum of money they pay at whatever time or point in time, it is our money, the taxpayers' money. It is the state money. And let us allow ourselves to better understand that so we will not be fooled at any time, in any way, or in any form. Let us be wise. And I know that all our viewers are wise people. And once we would have received this message, it is our duty to ensure that those around us are in receipt of such information so that they can carry that message to say, whatever sum of money is being paid at whatever time in this country, it is state money, it is taxpayers' money, it is the people's money. And to blanket completely, it is not PPP's money. So I thought it fit based on popular demand, so to speak, that we should be able to bring that to your attention. It is a discriminatory way. In the first phase, it was rather. And in this phase, as now collecting, people collecting, it is alleged moving from home to home, specific and specified homes in different communities, very identified communities to collect names already. And so we have to have our ears out, our eyes out to ensure that justice is served in this payment of this $100,000. We don't know yet, or if by tomorrow or in the next 10 hours, 24 hours, there's going to be a change and a further reduction. We don't know. But I'm just advising based, on the information received that we should bring it to the attention of the public. And it is alleged that authorizations from people living overseas and who do not at any point in time fulfill the requirement of being a resident Guyanese would have already sent to this country, as they did for the cash grant already paid allegedly, authorization to collect such sum of money. And since this is the case, it is only fitting for us to have again our ears and our eyes out there looking at this situation. Looking at this situation so that we can have a better way and a system of controlling it. Let us look very quickly at the school grants. It is alleged, and we have said that on this program, that there are certain schools, and it is alleged a nursery school maybe, that the head teacher, the teachers, some of the relatives of the head teacher, allegedly, some parents, and some children that are far below even preschool age would have had the privilege, allegedly, I said early on, and I say allegedly, had the privilege of collecting such sum of money, school grant, so to speak, and to waive it, allegedly, so that the public can see. This is fraud if it is so investigated and found to be illegal. And I now call out the Auditor General on this matter. I call out the Accountant General on this matter. I call out the Finance Secretary. Them those sit down there and be very selective in what they do and what to investigate or audit and not to audit, what to relieve money for and not to release money for. So I'm calling on them. I'm calling on the Minister of Education, the Permanent Secretary, the no good Chief Education Officer. Let them cause themselves to find out this allegation and be able to deal with it in a very professional manner, because we are teaching our teachers, our parents, and our children who are not of nursery school age yet to allow them to be dishonest in this situation. So we need to bring that. But there is a situation as it relates to this cash grant. And I want to point out here the National School Grant, or what is known as the Teacher's Grant, which is another grant. And here, what it says here about this grant, because I'm going to make a point about this grant. The government of Guyana approved the distribution of school grants for the provision of greater resources to teachers in schools, Head teachers and teachers are hereby permitted to collect, distribute, and expend school grants, as well as engage in any activity as it relates to the management of the school grants. This is stated in an official document. Such document I would not say publicly, because I am quoted from this document because it is alleged that a teacher at a particular secondary school in a particular region is set to and would have been listed for discrimination in the honest spending of this grant. And what I would have read there, it did not say anything whether the items to be purchased would have been capital items or recurrent items. And therefore, since this teacher would have received that grant, this teacher thought it fit, because this teacher was very uncomfortable in the secondary school this teacher was teaching, not having a good chair to sit on, not having a good desk to use to write. Use that grant to purchase a chair for her comfort so that she can teach the children of this country. And maybe because who this teacher appears to be, there is some level of discrimination. But I'm giving the viewers the information so that in that particular region, and it might be that teacher might not be an isolated case in this grant that is referred to the National School Grant or the Teacher's Grant, but only because this would have come to us on this program, we are quite aware of it. And so we want to bring it to the attention of viewers so that this level of discrimination of our teachers would have to come to a full stop. And these are things we are going to bring to your attention. And I made mention of that particular policy, so to speak, that did not give any direction whether the item should be recurrent or capital. But it says, let me repeat the first part of it. The distribution, well, let me go back. The government of Guyana approved the distribution of school grants for the provision of greater resources to teachers in schools, to teachers in schools. It is written. And when the time would have come for this program to be able to provide that information, we would do just that, to save that and other teachers from being discriminated against. The item is there, it is shown. The receipt is there, it is shown. What more do you want? But I say to you, as I'm going to come some other matters later on in education, that this teacher is soon to be retired from the system. And once you would have targeted her now, it might necessitate an investigation and support to cause her not to lose her benefits, her pension, and all the other benefits. So I thought it fit that based on what would have been said, that we should bring this to the attention. Old age pension. This has been a very, very serious area of concern in this country. And why we say a very serious area in this country? Because there is now an investigation of some level of deficiency, skullduggery, thievery, robbery, as it relates as allegedly pension books. And this is old age pension. And because these people, they call it old age pension, they should remove that word and be more respectful to people. Why can we not say senior citizen pension? But whenever it is now, the old age pension, that people, it is told and alleged that they duplicated books and people went and encashed those vouchers and what have you. It is more than that as it relates to old age pension. And what is that we are talking about is that each year at a particular time, when these old age books are so distributed The information is so disseminated. The persons who live overseas, who are not entitled to, but they come to Guyana, present themselves, uplift these books, go back to where they would have come from in terms of where they are residing now out of this country, and they spend 2 or 3 days. That is not fulfilling the requirement or the eligibility of a residence Guyanese. And because of that, and the last time I am told that it is alleged that people are also sending authorization to collect these books, given an address in Guyana, it is alleged. And so this is illegal. It is criminal. It is robbery under arms. And therefore, I am calling out right now, this program is calling out the police, the Auditor General, the Accountant General, the Finance Secretary, who has to open his eyes because it appears as though his eyes are closed all day and night. Whether he's sleeping or not, you don't know. But he needs to open his eyes. And so this program is bringing this to the attention of those who you have mentioned just now. What might be good, and this program is now recommending this, that for all who would have received both cash grants over the period and COVID grant at that time, that all their names should be listed, their addresses should be listed, their ID card numbers should be listed, and the amount they receive should be listed. If you talk transparency and accountability, I want to see this government go down that line and do what this program is recommending so that we can see that there is transparency and accountability. The song says, if only night will come today, a lot of people will run away. Very many people would have an opportunity to run away at the right time. So this program is calling out tonight, this government, to issue a list of the names of persons as per NDC, township, indigenous communities, other communities, the names of the persons who receive either the COVID or cash grant, the address of these persons, the ID number of these persons, and the amount they receive. If you or if they believe in accountability and transparency, bring that record to scratch and let it be posted up across, because it is state money. It is not secret. And we want to know how the state money or the taxpayers' money is being spent. Bring it out. Bring it out for transparency and accountability, and let us see the names. And so this program is strongly recommending that at this stage. We now turn our attention to these state agencies and these state employees that are there in these enforcement agencies that I would list just now, that are failing in both their legal and constitutional duties and are receiving state money, people's money, taxpayers' money, for sitting upon their sit funds and not representing the cause of which they are employed for. And this program has been making this kind of representation, speaking about this issue of this unauthorized and illegal workshop being established in a residential area. And a number of letters would have been written to these agencies, the Guyana Revenue Authority, the National Insurance Scheme, the Minister of Labor, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Guyana Power and Light. And why is it this is happening? Why is it these agencies were listed or would continue to be listed and being spoken about? Because they are failing in their duties. They are neglecting what they are supposed to do. And they are receiving each and every month taxpayers' money as salaries. How do they feel happy about that when they are not performing their duties? And so, what is happening? This workshop, as per se, is creating noise nuisance, noise pollution rather, dust pollution, and chemical pollution. But there's going to come a time when some who are also benefiting because of this, because they have some little business set up in the corner there. And once there is time for refreshment that they are going to get that sale, they will never say that it is bothering them. But let us come to these agencies and see what are the things that are not. One, let us establish the facts that this unauthorized and illegal mechanical workshop, let me say, in a residential area. And so why is it? The failing of it. The Guyana Revenue Authority harps upon persons who are employed by the government, by the state, that is the government. And they cause to be deducted from their salaries the necessary amount of income tax, cause to happen or to be deducted the necessary, because you are employed by the state. But there's no payment of revenue as generated from this workshop, matching what is to be paid to the state being paid. And so here is where the Guyana Revenue Authority comes in. National Insurance Scheme, and we dare say we remember that that scheme was set up in 1969 by the late Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, a visionary and very many people are surviving because of NIS payment. And so NIS is failing in their duty to cause monies to be paid to NIS for the persons who are attached to the workshop. And then the third agency, the Ministry of Labor. And this is last word is very important, you know. Ministry of Labor. And labor has different connotation. It has a pregnancy connotation. Means when you are in labor, you are about to deliver. And it would appear as though that the Ministry of Labor, the minister, and the chief labor officer, and all those who are responsible for health and safety in that ministry might be allegedly in labor, so they are not in a position to act. And so, as seen and observed, this particular workshop is engaged in child labor. On school days, children of school age are there doing work. There's no signage there. There are no safety gears that are being used, personal protective gears that any of those who are working in that workshop are using. And by extension, we need to look at the fire service. If there is a careful check, there might be dangerous fluids that are there. But I say, and I said over and over, that until and unless something would have happened, the lives of people are gone, properties are damaged, livestock are destroyed, then those agencies are going to be reactive to this situation. And so I come now to the Environmental Protection Agency. The Environmental Protection Agency is busy right now in Region 3 instructing maybe ExxonMobil to check something and something that is leaking somewhere on a pipeline that is not attached to where they are generating the oil and gas from, or whatever you call it out there in the ocean. And they are so dense, not knowing what is happening there. But as I come to them, that they are not protecting any environment. And they would be responsible, I make it to the viewers here in Guyana and abroad, that the Environmental Protection Agency and all those agencies, I'm coming to GPL, all those agencies, more particular EPA, the environmental, would be responsible or will be held accountable for any kind of ill health, any sicknesses, illnesses, or diseases that might be caused from the noise pollution, dust pollution, and chemical pollution emanating out of this illegal and unauthorized mechanical workshop in a residential area. They are happy where they are living. They are comfortable being fat cats from state money and other perks and benefits, and are not looking in the direction of representing people based on what is legal and constitutional in this country. And then the Guyana Power and Light. It might be, and it is alleged, that there is a connection of a residential connection, and that the payment of the electricity is residential payment, whereas there is use of heavy machinery, pieces of equipment, and it is using industrial levels of electricity. This is cause of concern because it becomes a fire hazard. And in the same community, there are time and time again that is something called low voltage or load shedding. You know why this is so? It is alleged, and I want GPL to know this, and they must check it out, that in the particular street, there are a number of illegal connections. But they just pass up and down. One minibus carrying 10 persons. Just checking, what is your meter? Do you have a prepaid meter? What is the number? You come with your book, you don't know what is the number. Why are you asking me for my number? Because you didn't do your research. And so GPL, NIS, GRA, EPA, and the Ministry of Labor are now put on notice that in any eventuality that they would be responsible and be held accountable for anything of ill health, outbreak of any sickness or illness or disease based on this illegal and unauthorized workshop, mechanical workshop in a residential area, causing noise pollution, dust pollution, chemical pollution. And this is about the third or fourth time this program is bringing this very situation to the attention of these agencies listed. And I very well know that since May of this year, letters would have been dispatched to these agencies without any recourse. So, viewers, employees of the state are receiving and are collecting state money without performing their legal and constitutional duties. And I want our viewers to know, to understand, once these and any other situation that might affect you in your communities, depriving you of your constitutional right to exist, bring it to the attention of this program, and we would allow people to know and to understand. So we are bringing it to the attention of the public so that we can be able to have a better understanding. Let us now look at some of the issues in education. Last week, we had a panel discussion on this program as it relates to education. We touched only about 0.5% of the challenges, the difficulties, the eroding of standards and professional standards and decorum in the education system. And I thought it for tonight that I should be able to point to some of these issues. Recently, there was a certain secondary school that has a dormitory facility for both male and female students. And it is alleged that one night that these children, or students rather, were challenged differently as it relates to their emotion. And they were taken to the hospital. And when one of the female students would have been discharged from the hospital and went home, it is alleged that she committed suicide by way of hanging herself. And she left a note, so to speak. And the Department of Education in that particular region, the head teacher and the employees of the dormitory, and what is known as some kind of suicide board, a bribery board is alleged. I'm going to come to a situation in which someone would have committed suicide, and the bribery board, so to speak, the suicide board, disallowed that payment for that crime would have committed. It is alleged. So I make the point before. I'm not going to make it again. And so the regional education officer, the education committee of the region, the head teacher of the school, I understand that a teacher was appointed through what you call administrative appointment. The story we are told and as alleged to us is different from that emotional challenge that they claim. And there, some board came, some suicide board came from Georgetown. Every time these people come, it is just a journey to Eskimo to enjoy what is here, not doing meaningful work or making any change in any way. But I'm saying that the head teacher is a waste of time. He should be held, or that head teacher should be held responsible for the death of that child. The regional education officer should also be held responsible for the death of that child. The school's welfare officers, they are a total waste of time and garbage, so to speak, in the particular region. And let me make the point about a school's welfare officer. A school's welfare officer is supposed to be, first of all, a trained teacher. Secondly, a school's welfare officer will only go to that position if he or she holds a senior appointment, meaning a senior master or mistress, or a head of department. And none of them that are holding the position of schools welfare officer in the region are trained teachers. They are all misfits. They are far less than round pegs in square holes or square holes in round pegs, whatever you turn it to be or term it to be. And they are the cause of, and this is no allegation, they are the cause of every single, the regional education department, the regional education officer of the region, all the officers, the school's welfare officer, the misfit and waste time people, they are all responsible for every aspect of indiscipline in our nursery, primary, secondary schools, in our dormitories, in our technical institutes, in all our learning facilities. They are a waste of time. They are receiving money under false pretense. And there is need, CEO, before you sit down and write circulars and you don't even know how to write a memo, your structure, your grammar, your spelling, your context, and everything is so poor. I don't know how you would have arrived at that, arrived, so to speak, not appointed. And I'm going to come to deal with some of the other officers that are bringing on this education system. I'm going to deal with NSORD later on, and I'm going to deal with examinations division later on. And I have a whole heap of irregular, badly structured pieces of correspondence under the hands of Deputy Chief Education. By the way, there's a particular gentleman in the Ministry of Education Any letterhead emanating from any ministry or agency should not have immediately after that the name of a person, Dr. R. T, whatever his name. R can mean a lot of things, bad things. R is always bad things. And T is more, it is worse. But we wouldn't go to that. But a gentleman from the Central Ministry of Education who knows nothing, can't even write a letter, put in Dr. RT. The education system is failing our children. And every child that we lose because of suicide in this system, it is as a result of bad management, mismanagement, poor management, no management of the education system, because the school's welfare system is a total waste of time. And we would have been asked to make mention of this because the parents are still trying to cope with the death of their loved ones. While it is not late, this program expressed sympathy to the parents and immediate relatives of this student that we would have lost. And so we thought it fit based on what would have been said to us that we should be able to make mention of that. This is no allegation in 2023, and I did not see it in the Auditor General's report of 2023, that there was a stated $12 million paid on the line item 6241, rental of buildings, $12 million. Auditor General, your report did not say anything about this. Why is it you are hiding this? It is in the volumes. And if you want the evidence, I have it. And this region is region 2 I'm talking about, where $12 million would have been paid for rental of buildings on the 60 line item 6241, rental of buildings. And we asked, where was this building rented? To whom this money was paid? Why is it? Because it had to come from education budget. Why is it the REDO should not be disciplined and called to account for this $12 million? Because it starts from there. But I'm bringing up so that the public would know, the viewers would know, all Guyanese who are listening to this program would know, all persons residing overseas that are listening to this program will know and would know that they are not accounting for $12 million under the allied item 6241, rental of buildings. And the REDO in Region 2 should be held accountable for that. And I'm not speaking with water in my mouth. I have the evidence. And if they want it, I'll give it to them. And so we have to be able to bring a stop to that. And so I'm calling out the Auditor General, the Accountant General, the Finance Secretary. Open your eyes, boy. Finance Secretary, don't sleep. And let us look at this situation. It is alleged that there are some officers attached to the departments of education across this country are all contractors and suppliers of goods and services. And there are some persons who are performing the duties of head teachers but are second in charge but performing duties as the head teacher are busy catering for seminars and workshops and head teachers meetings, subject committee meetings. It is alleged, because it was told to us, it is alleged that they are busy doing that and they are not paid any attention to the work they are paid for based on their position of state. The CEO, the Chief Education Officer of the Ministry of Education, wake up, my boy. You would have been pitchforked into that position, but you are a total failure and misfit for that position. They are used in these regions. Find out. The PS Ministry of Education. If you are spending money in these areas, check it out. The PS Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. He appears to be also sleeping every day he goes to Parliament at public accounts meeting and seems to be very far removed from what is happening there. All of you, I'm calling out tonight for all these deficiencies and ineffectiveness in the education system. Having people, we are told, we know all the names of these persons, in the different regions from the different departments of education that are busy with contracts and catering. And all these head teachers who are performing duties, who are number two and performing duties as head teachers and are performing duties. Some of them so bold that because they wanted to be identified, they go to places and say, I believe in this concept of one Guyana. And because they would have said that, they are to the greatness of those who believe in this one Guyana concept. And so I thought it fit that since it would have come to our attention, that we should be able to talk about it tonight. The education system is in total disarray. It is not preparing any level of retraining of our teachers who function at different levels, nursery, primary, secondary level. They are not allowing our teachers to be exposed in the new methodologies that are there. They are not twinning with the right countries that have advanced technological training and technological advanced areas of delivering the curriculum to the learners. And so we are a failed state, so to speak, as it relates to education, because we are far removed from the new technologies. And we are busy building new schools, nursery, primary, secondary, where not necessary, and failing to adjust ourselves to creating in all our schools in this country conditions and situations that would provide for new technology of teaching and delivering the curriculum to our students. We are not placing emphasis on our teachers. And mind you, it is alleged that a special group of 5, a master group of 5, it is alleged from the Guyana Teachers Union, who betrayed all our teachers in this country, it is alleged, are sitting idly by and not making any representation. because I'm going to come to what happened 2 days ago at Bushlot Secondary School in Region 5, and what are the things happening in all the different schools in this country, and where our teachers are not properly protected, and the Big Five sits idly by. It is alleged in the Guyana teachers, because they are receiving their own benefits from what skullduggery and nastiness they might have done in that negotiation. And our teachers now stand not to benefit, but to be discriminated against. And so the point is that we are not in the education system prepared to deal with the new technologies. And what we do, we blame our teachers for poor and bad results at the National Grade 6 and CSEC. But we celebrate in a very fantastic way with pomps and ceremonies of the 1% that would have performed excellent at CSEC. That is good to celebrate. But if that is good, it is equally good for us to be able to recognize, excuse me, to recognize the accomplishments of the 99% and to bring some comfort into their lives as we prepare them for the world of work or for institutions of higher learning. And so our schools, our children, our students are not enjoying that kind of facilities and social life that the education system ought to bring to them. It is more degrading to those students, the 99%, when we celebrate with pomp and ceremony the 1%. But if you are not a good educator, you would not recognize the damage you are doing to our children. And so we need to look at that. But I come to say to you that, and I imagine retraining our teachers with new technologies as against this boasting about a very ineffective and inefficient program you call the Gold Program or the Gold Scholarship. I don't know the ability level of persons. I wish not to know the ability levels of persons. But we can conclude that the Gold Scholarship is a total waste of time, effort, and money, paying back to a person that facilitated some good somewhere and suffering our teachers who are supposed to get money. And I'm going to come to free education. And so, when someone comes to you and say, you know, I just completed a degree, first degree. I just completed a master's degree. And I'm now doing my PhD. Don't only look at them, you watch at them. There's a difference between looking and watching it. Don't look at them, watch at them. Because you can't blame them. They were given an opportunity to fail themselves by virtue of that same Gold Scholarship. One, and there's a, let me just rephrase the one. There's going to be somewhere in some time that these courses are going to be accredited right here in Guyana. So Guyana is going to accredit. Guyana is going to accredit with the power they have universities outside, so that those who and I want to strongly believe, somebody said to me that very many of these universities that are listed here, they never existed or they do not exist. I don't know. Somebody said that. But I believe them strongly, because anything happens in this country, it takes some time for you to believe it. Even though you see it, you don't believe it. And so we are in total disarray, in discipline at maximum, because the system would have failed. Our children don't fail themselves. Our children are not indisciplined children at nurse or learners at nursery, primary, and secondary level. Our teachers are not indisciplined people. It is a system that would have been created, not recognizing that certain social values ought to be inculcated in our students. We throw them through, excuse me, we throw them through the window. And that is why we are subject to indiscipline in our school system. And we need to take a very, very firm and decisive look at that. I want to turn our attention to a situation in which we would have been keeping you abreast with. And I avoided making mention of the name of that particular area. And I am calling out Sheikh Baksh, who is always a failure in every area he's serving. He was the gentleman, no, he was the person being a minister of education at that time. The very first day he went to that office, the education system started to crumble. And every position he held thereafter, those positions, or those agencies rather, not positions, crumbled. He crumbled the Ministry of Education. Always. He is at Guyana, Guyana Water Inc. That is how you call it now. That was built to maximum, so to speak, under the coalition. And right now he has it. He took over something at 100%, and he has it functioning at less than 40%. And all the employees, 95% of the employees in GWI in this country are complaining about the attitude and behavior of Sheikh Baksh. But I'm bringing something to his attention that the public brought to our attention, meaning this program, that there is the illegal occupancy at the Henrietta pump station. It is alleged that rehabilitation work would have been done by a private or private citizens, and they are about to take up residence in a government, a state-owned entity, GWI pump station at Henrietta. So I thought it fit that we should be able to bring that to your attention. Let us now turn our attention to some things that are happening internally in Region 2, because these same things might have the same effect in other regions of this country. And so we are told, and very well believe that at the regional democratic council level, that the coalition has no representative. No, let me rephrase that. That the local board of guardians, which is something that came out of the Ministry of Social Services, that in Region 2 we have North Board and South Board, that the coalition is not represented on any of those boards. And do you now realize when we spoke about old age pension, what can happen or what is happening because we do not have persons on either the South Board or the North Board? This is the time I'm calling out the Regional Democratic Council of Region 2. I'm calling out the Minister of Social Services to allow for the coalition to have representation. If you believe in democracy, prove your worth by putting people on those two boards. Prove your worth tonight and put people on those boards. As it relates to the evaluation committee, the regional evaluation committee, the tender board, in this region, Region 2, and this might be across regions, that the coalition has no representative in a so-called democracy as boasted about and upon. And so here again, I'm calling out the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Regional Local Government and Regional Development. The Ministry of Finance, because that is, you don't know who is minister and who is not minister here. To look at this matter because the coalition needs to be represented. And we can't have these programs and don't say what are the things needed to be done. We have to say it here because this is the place where we have to say what is happening, as you would have already done that. Recently, there was a unilateral decision at the RDC meeting, as alleged, to completely remove a representative of the coalition from the Hinterland Affairs Committee, a subcommittee of the RDC. And it is alleged that the chairperson was bold enough to say, you can go where you want to or you can do what you want to. If that is in a democracy, then many questions need to be answered. So I'm calling out whichever ministry or agency is supposed to make that happen. When you do that, you are sending a message that you are discriminating against our indigenous brothers and sisters. Because if the mere fact that they have a representative on the Hinterland Affairs Committee, a subcommittee of the RDC, and you would have unilaterally removed that person, then you are telling our indigenous brothers and sisters in a very strong voice that you do not care for and about them. And so I'm calling out the RDC to set your house right. To set your house right, because we need to correct all these things that are happening, and so that we can be able to make the necessary adjustment. We have resisted on this program to make mention of allegations by some contractors. The small ones, so to speak, it is alleged that they are discriminated against at the sub-treasury in this region. And that only the big contractors who can afford to pay off some persons that might be alleged, that might be attached to the sub-treasury of this region, to have the priority to get their checks paid quickly. It is further alleged that our public officers who do their claims for traveling and subsistence and have other little payments to be made at the sub-treasury, they are pushed around, it is alleged, by the officer in charge of the sub-treasury to give way for the big contractors. It is alleged again. It is further alleged. Well, nobody can take me to court for that because it is alleged, and I've said what is alleged. That the person, I don't know who the person is because I've not been in that compound since I was illegally removed as REO sometime in the 20th of August, there about 2020, when there was a powerful secondary school dropout who is somewhere in some other region as the administrative head, also wielding power, destroying persons, destroying departments. And so that sub-treasury person, I don't know if it's male or female, because I didn't ask, that this officer has a particular building somewhere on the roadside. They say, I don't know, because I leave this home, the comforts of this home where I happen to reside once every 3 months for not more than half an hour. So I don't know. And so that place is provided for him to be able to collect, is alleged, from the big contractors, filling his bags with goodies. It is alleged, I don't know. But because of that, I'm calling out the Accountant General of the Ministry of Finance to be able to, as alleged, look into this direction. Then I want to deal about the continuous disruption of the traffic on roads in this country, especially Region 2, when there are events and activities. They decide to use the car park at Anna Regina to do these activities. And they discomfort and dislodge and dislocate a number of persons, including school children, our college teachers, our teachers, our students from the Esquivo Technical Institute, our students of the Guyana School of Agriculture, workers. They can't pass through there because the road is blocked. And it is further alleged that there is some Bronco, they said, let me say how they describe it. It is alleged that there's some Broncos policeman named some Hassa. Some Hassa. That is what they said. I don't know if that's the man correct name. Hassa, who is in charge of maybe traffic in this region. Some Hassa, Broncos policeman, who is as powerful as ever, talking to these vehicle owners and drivers as though they are children. So I'm bringing the Commissioner of Police. You are in your own game. You are in your own trouble, boy. Hickins, you better look at your officers who are bringing on the Guyana Police Force. Not all of them. Some of them. But we have good, honest gentlemen in the Guyana Police Force with integrity. But you do not judge. But the viewers would have asked me, sorry, to bring this to your attention. There are some special education issues, excuse me again, that I want to deal with. It has to do with the Inspectorate Unit of the Ministry of Education. And our teachers and our head teachers are complaining bitterly about the double standard, those standard, all standard that this Inspectorate Unit is going. They are talking about the derogatory way in which they treat our teachers and our head teachers, the discriminatory way in which they do it. They talk about the targeting, the witch hunting, allegedly, of members of the Inspectorate Unit. And it is alleged that the person who is heading this unit is a far gone retiree, and every time he would have produced negative reports about head teachers and teachers, it is building his integrity, bad integrity, if you have a phrase like that, to have his contract renewed, because the Ministry of Education or those who are responsible for renewing his contract would say, yes, he's doing a good job. But the teachers are alleging that he's not doing a good job. The unit is not doing a good job because he's doing that to discriminate against and to push himself up. And so this lies in the bosom and hands of the chief education officer, who might have been failing to prepare the necessary checklists and the checks and balances to guide the Inspectorate Unit. He is allowing, like he is doing, the Inspectorate Unit to destroy our head teachers and our head teachers. People of good standing and integrity. And we need to be able to look at that very situation of this level of discrimination. And so I am closing now because we have 5 minutes. There are 4 documents that I want to share with you, but I'm going to leave that for the next program because they are very important pieces of correspondence. Some time ago, maybe this week, early this week, a certain regional chairman called, it is alleged, a meeting with 5 teachers from nursery, from primary and secondary schools in a particular region. He briefed them and he assigned them to the Department of Education in that particular region. This is total interference with the education system. But mind you, it is told and it is alleged that some of these teachers are teachers of grade 6. Some of these teachers are supervising SPAs. And at this stage, they were strongly instructed, as alleged, by this particular regional chairman to go to the Department of Education to perform duties. And mind you, the head of administration of that particular region, who is a secondary school dropout, who is doing a very bad job in the performance of his duty, is discriminating terribly against the education officers of that region, our head teachers and teachers of that region. But these things happen, discrimination against our head teachers and teachers, because, as alleged, the big 5 in the Guyana Teachers Union, who would have benefited from administrative appointments, contracts, lands, who would have been promised director of INSORD and what have you, they are not looking in the direction of that. And so we are not able, our head teachers and teachers, to function effectively in the school system. And I close by saying that, and I have the piece of correspondence. Let me just go to find the correct name so that you would not. There's a deputy chief education officer now in the Ministry of Education, a person called Amir Ali, deputy chief education officer, examinations, Ministry of Education. He is just like the chief education officer. He's from examination divisions and he can't even write. He cannot even write a memo. He writes the memo from to date subject, whatever he speaks about here, 2025 National Grade 6 Assessment and Mock Assessment 1 and 2. And then he goes and he signs it and he concludes the memo like a letter, all for your information and guidance. Amir Ali, he allows the computer to print his name. Deputy Chief Education Officer Exams, Ministry of Education. This is a total mismatch and the disrespect he has here. He didn't copy this piece of correspondence to the General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union. This man is a total, I don't know if a man or a woman, because names are very funny. Amir can be male or female. This person, Amir Ali, is a total misfit for a Deputy Chief Education Officer examinations. And then to date, it is alleged that there is no official results as alleged for CSEC and for National Grade 6. So you have a Deputy Chief Education Officer. You have an Assistant Chief Education Officer. You have a number of officers. You retain the Superintendent of Examinations, an excellent worker, a person who knows work from right, left, and center, so to speak. But you are putting that person aside to facilitate your own friends, families, and favorites, and are destroying every aspect and fabric, not only of the education, the exams division, but the education department. Viewers, I think we would have said enough for tonight. We have more to speak about. This program continues or is aired every Wednesday night from 18:30 hours to 20 hours. And so next week we are going to be back. Next week we will commence aspect of the failure of the Auditor General to make certain things public and just doing skeleton work, whereas we know more of what would have happened over the past 4 years. Viewers, we want to thank you very much. We want to ask you to continue to send to us your submissions. We want to ask you to continue to look at this program and to continue to give us the necessary advice and guidance. Thank you. Good night, and may God bless you.